um, leverage the financial arbitrage that's available. An average engineer in Silicon Valley today will cost you $10,000 minimum in salary. That's a fresh graduate and probably 50% overhead. Whereas and you all know what the cost of a good engineer in Pakistan is. So you not only get dollar arbitrage or financial arbitrage, cost arbitrage, you get neuron arbitrage. For the same $5 an hour, where you can get a high school graduate in Silicon Valley, you could get almost a PhD in Pakistan. So you get a lot more neurons. Yes. Now the trick is how to manage that, and that's what. So my small achievement in life is because I can. I have learned how to deal with myself when I was in Pakistan and while I'm here. So I have empathy for my counterparts who are there that didn't get the opportunities that I did. And so I identify the best and the brightest there and then hire them in, I've had a branch in Karachi way before it became popular in the mid 80s and early 90s. And then I've had, ever since then, I have had back office or design centers or support centers in Pakistan always. I just sold a company recently that had more than 50 people in Islamabad in I-8 sector. So that's how when I travel quite often, I go back. If I can, I go every 6 months if I can. Right now, I was just there in March, and I'm due as soon as COVID stops in US. Pakistan, there's no COVID in Pakistan, so I'm pretty safe to travel.
Sir, I think, yeah,
at least I recognize your name, Adnan Iqbal Sahab.
Assalamualaikum. Yes.
How are you, sir?
Alhamdulillah, I'm fine. Thank you very much.
There are some things I'm going to talk about that's common between us.
Yes.
Okay, let's start. Let me give a little bit introduction, Kothari Sahab, if you allow me.
Sure.
Okay, sure. Thanks. So for over 35 years, Mr. Kothari has been managing technology development in state-of-the-art application-specific integrated circuits, networking and computer security, user privacy one, and secure remote access, helping business solve their key problems. Today, he serves as the Chief Technology Officer of Vesona System International LLC, a Silicon Valley-based company. He co-founded to provide sophisticated solutions for the healthcare and hospitality industries. Mr. Kothari earned his undergraduate degree in electrical engineering at NAD Engineering University in Karachi, Pakistan, and master's degree in engineering at Illinois Institute of Technology. Mr. Kothari has also served on the first global board of the Indus Entrepreneur and chairman of the board of Open Silicon Valley, both organizations built on the helping young entrepreneurs achieve success through mentoring by successful entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley. And he has been in Silicon Valley ever since the name was not even coined. So welcome, sir, to our forum. And now over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I really appreciate the opportunity. Maybe I can give you a little bit of my background that is not, there are a lot of things that are written. There are other things about each one of us that's not written, that only we know. I have a very humble background. I was born in a small village in India after partition.
Before you move on, Mr. IdrisKothari, I just want to say a few words. The introduction that was given to you was provided by Salahuddin Chauhan. The picture was mine, but Salahuddin Chauhan is not so ugly. He's very handsome, smart-looking guy. So I will ask him to put his picture on next time.
Thank you. So I was actually very fortunate that my parents decided post-partition in 1950 when I was born, to move to Pakistan. So I was actually a 3-month-old immigrant. And ever since then, that has been, I suppose, that my fate. Like most of you, I was actually educated by NED, engineering college at that time, near Pakistan Chowk. If some of you remember, I'm giving away my age. And the education was pretty much free, if you think about it. We used to pay 125 rupees and per month, and that's how I got educated. So really, Pakistan educated me for free. And so I think the least I could do is at least return the fees that I would have paid in a Western institution if I got educated. So I'm trying to do as best as I can. Once again, at the age of 23, I became an immigrant again. I moved to US to join the master's program at IIT, the other IIT, the Illinois Institute of Technology. And I was very fortunate to get a fellowship there. And the fellowship happened to be, by the way, my degree is in electrical engineering, not electronics, not computer sciences. NED offered electrical power engineering at the time. So I'm a power engineering graduate who ended up at IIT Chicago in 1973, to be exact. And the only scholarship available was in a department that no one wanted to take, which was called computer sciences. So as luck would have it, after the first semester, second semester, you always went and looked for a teaching assistantship or a research assistantship or a fellowship. And computer science offered the best deal in town, so I took it. I had no clue what I was getting into. It was pure luck, being at the right place at the right time. So I have a master's degree in computer sciences from NED, from IIT. And I'm actually a PhD dropout. So I started taking PhD courses because there were no jobs at the time. And then I finally got tired of being so poor and living on campus and wanted to try out my luck outside. After working for about 5 years in Chicago area, I moved to Silicon Valley in 1978 and have been here since then. So 42 years of being in Silicon Valley. You learn a few things here and there. We've made as many mistakes as, or a lot more mistakes than, I made a lot more bad decisions than good decisions. But in the end, I think a few good ones really are more than enough for you to succeed. I have been part of and started or been very early on in about 10 companies, and 3 of them have had good success. The other 7 were shot in the backyard, but nobody talks about that. I'm married, have 3 grown children, and now it's at a stage of my life where I have earned, I've earned, and now I'm hopefully able to return a few things, return a little back to Pakistan. So my current activities are really, I'm working with the government of Pakistan, I'm working with private sector, and I'm trying to convince my counterparts in Pakistan to work towards a digitization of Pakistan, if you will, and I'll talk a little bit more about it in future, later on in this talk. So back to the subject, challenges and opportunities in Pakistan. The reason I wanted to give you the background, because whatever I say would be my perspective, and that perspective is built based on my experiences in life. So please take that with an entire bowl of salt. This is simply how I feel. This is my perspective on life and entrepreneurship based upon my experiences. That's all one can do, is use the experience in life to draw a certain conclusion and try to impart some, or at least talk about something that they know or understand, rather than telling stories. In any environment, there are opportunities and there are roadblocks. So to put things in context, what does Pakistan have to offer, right? One has to look at, if you start a business, you must look at, or I look at, what does a market have to offer? Pakistan is a large market, as you know, 220 million people and counting. 1 million people enter the job market every year. Lots of unemployment, a lot of young people, a lot of educated young people, and a lot of uneducated young people, and a lot of educated, uneducated people. And so there's a whole bunch of, it's not a linear equation, it's a very complex equation. But then if it was, as we say, if it was easy, any idiot could do it. This kind of problem takes special kind of idiots like us to go and solve them. And these are very complex equations, but they're solvable. And that's what does Pakistan need, right? It's a, Pakistan needs to have its problem solved. And so entrepreneurs basically succeed when they solve a problem that someone is willing to pay for, right? There are a lot of problems you can solve, but are they willing, is the market willing to pay for it? Are the opportunities in the market, and are there regulations, partnerships that are available to you that would help you succeed in that market? And I'll touch base on each one of them as we go along. Pakistan's, and I apologize, my background is purely in high tech. So I would not know anything about any other market that is there, but maybe not high tech, or is high tech as I define it. Maybe my experience could go parallel in the market segment that you are in, and maybe you could take something from that. But my experience is limited to opinions, observations, and thoughts would be centered around high tech. The other, for 220 million people, $1 billion technology market is very small. So there is room to grow. There is another 90 billion or 99 billion to go. Because for 200 million people, if you think about it, and if you take a few dollars and multiply by it, there must be a lot of opportunities. The other thing I have observed, and this is my observation, please correct me if you feel differently, that in general, in high tech at least, my experience is that import is preferred over local solution. And so nobody ever got fired for hiring IBM, as they say. So the managers that I speak with in Pakistan in the technology area are too quick to adopt Oracle, to go to SAP. Our export, and we'll talk about that in detail, in high tech, at least human resource high tech, is 1 billion, give or take, 1.5 billion. And our import of high tech solutions like Oracle, Microsoft, IBM, SAP, you name it, is 7 billion. So really we have a deficit. So we really don't make 1 billion, we actually make -6 billion in technology because we buy so much from outside. And the reason is we don't trust what's inside, what is built in Pakistan. And we'll get to that. And that will be very relevant to this group that I'm hoping I could at least make some of you think about that possibility that is very unique to the group that is assembled here. Because I know that half of, at least a good portion of the audience is in Pakistan, and the other half is in the West. So there might be an opportunity if we join hands. Opportunities I see in Pakistan in technology area is solving local problems. Right? You know, we are not at a place where Western world will come and buy our products because we have not really gotten to that point of maturity. Some people have been successful, but by and large, the majority of the opportunity will come from inside. And from what I've observed, cybersecurity is one of the biggest opportunity in Pakistan right now. It's been proven that you can even fix transportation issues in Pakistan. Look at Kareem and airlift. Karim has done a very good job of solving a problem that we thought could not be solved in Pakistan, with transportation. I no longer rent a car. I no longer have to chase taxis. I no longer have to rent a driver. I get my car whenever I want, and they're pretty decent rides. Online shopping, Daraz was acquired. There are tons of, 200 million people, out of which at least 10% would have to buy, and 22 million large market is almost like a European country. So even if 10% of Pakistanis become digital savvy, that would be almost like a country full of, market in Europe. Financial transactions are a bit of a challenge because our economy is, majority of our will is cash-based and undocumented. People don't want to tell you what they're doing. And if you go to digitization, if you go and start transacting online, you would have to declare what you bought or what you sold. But that still leaves a huge market. So currently, based on what I have seen so far and what I've been told by people who are in the financial markets, that only 2% of the cellular smartphone holders have participated in transactions on their smartphones. So there's, better than 90% market still available in that, and it's going to grow. There's just no way new generation is going to use cell phones, smartphones to do financial transaction. Delivery services, because transportation is a problem, because mobility is a problem. Karachi is a good example right now. If you can deliver something to my house from your place of business, I will pay you for it. Personal security, I mean, you see news all the time. There is, and again, that's not a technology market, but it's a technology enabled, that service could be enabled using technology. So you have these closed circuit cameras, you have these beepers. On my cell phone, my iPhone, the right side button, if I press it 3 times, it makes a call to 911, and it starts beeping. Sometimes I think I'm increasing the volume when I call 911, and my family's calling me back as to where the emergency is. Home security, tourism, food waste. One thing that I've always found that there's a good opportunity in Pakistan is in agriculture. I just did a project last year with the World Bank and putting Nestle farms, dairy farms on blockchain. And blockchain is the latest technology. And I'll make that point about leapfrog. You don't have to chase others in technologies. You can leapfrog. You can go from 1st generation technology to 5th generation technology if you want. You don't have to go through these steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can leapfrog if you just do it right. The food wastage is a huge problem in Pakistan. Dates and a lot of other fruits get wasted in the field because the plants who process them are not where the growers are. In US, the plants are placed, or in the Western world, the plants are placed very close to where the growers are. So you take them, you preserve them. The largest opportunity that I see in Pakistan is in packaging. Things are not packaged. And for a 220 million population, you can see that the Tetra Pak, the milk pack, right now it's available. Poorest of the poor in Pakistan can get fresh milk without any water and without any mixing in it at the local store for a reasonable price. And it's because of packaging. So now let's turn towards how does it affect this group? And I thought I'd talk briefly about where's the opportunity for this group. And we can talk about problems in Pakistan ad infinitum, right? We could sit here and dil ki bhadaas nikalte na. We could sit here and talk about what all is not done. But let me tell you where the opportunities are. The biggest problem from my perspective in Pakistan, which is a hindrance in doing business, is the trust deficit. No one believes that the person across the table promising you something is going to deliver that. It's a tremendous amount of trust deficit between even people who have lived there for a long period, know each other. And you would see that small communities that have a recourse around that trust deficit do very well. I come from a small community called Boris. And because they have a communal risk for doing bad things, the trust deficit is reduced quite a bit. And they do very well. When they go into business, they do business with each other because they trust the community. And such small Gujarati-speaking communities, Memons, Alakhani Ismailis, have done very well because there is a mechanism to deal with the trust deficit. And because the court system in Pakistan have completely failed, in my opinion, the businessman does not want to trust anyone else, or the engineer doesn't want to trust the counterpart because there's no recourse. So how do you solve that? And I call that, and I'll give you an example, which is actually within your group. I call it an expat inpat cooperation. I have done business with, and that's how I got introduced to this group, with Hasnain Akhtar. And I'm an expat. I met him through an organization called Open, Organization of Pakistani Entrepreneurs in North America. We were supporting an MIT-driven program for business growth. We called that, I'm missing the exact term, but it was run through MIT, and I was one of the judges and one of the advisors and judges, and I met Hasnain Akhtar, and we became friends, and this goes back almost 15 years. And we did business because the trust deficit was gone now. I could trust someone that I'd met from Pakistan. I did business with him. I knew technologically he could deliver. And so that barrier, once that trust deficit barrier is passed, you can accomplish a lot, because business is supply and demand. There is no supply of trust, and there's tremendous amount of demand for trust. So if you can simply focus on a cooperation where there is mutual trust, there is so much to be done in Pakistan. I mean, I'm doing it right now. I'm drinking my own Kool-Aid. I am doing what I'm talking about. I'm actually doing business in Pakistan right now with people that most people think you can't do business with them. I'm doing business with a large family-run business. I'm trying to do business with the government of Pakistan. It's not easy, but still it's doable. Again, because I have a counterpart in Pakistan whom I trust, so the trust deficit reduces, and that's how you can grow business. One of the things that I'm doing, and this is kind of self-serving, but I'll share with you what I'm doing right now, is Pakistan has in my opinion, one and only one thing to offer the rest of the world, and that's human capital. We have 220 million people, of which 10% are fairly educated in real terms of being educated. And of that, 1 or 2%, which is in 2 to 3 million range, have huge buying power and have higher education and have degrees. And every year we produce about 25,000 engineering graduates in pure high tech. You take computer sciences, IT, software engineering, electrical engineering, whatever you call them. In general, high tech we produce 25,000, of which only 5,000 come from major universities like NED, LUMS, NUST, UET, IQRA, Zia Best, GIKI. And I'm fairly familiar with most universities and their syllabus and stuff because I've been involved with universities for a while. And so the rest of them, the other 10,000 who come from second tier universities, and what I call second cities, are either jobless or work under their ability. Not that they don't have ability, it's just they're underemployed. And at last 10,000 that come from no-name universities that you or I cannot name, still have enough intelligence to be at least operators, if not creators of technology. And remember, not everybody has to be an architect. Somebody has to change the IP address. Somebody has to install the card. Somebody has to install the line. Somebody has to set up IP addresses. Somebody has to make the network. And so a lot of those graduates are available. It's just that not enough jobs or not enough opportunities provided to them. So here is the opportunity, and which is what I'm working on it right now as we speak, is to polish that raw material. We have a lot of raw material. We need to polish them. We need to bring them to the level where they become international players, right? And I give the example of gully cricket, right? You would see every street in corner in Karachi, and you can go into the Maidans in Peshawar. And I saw one game that was played on the side of the hill in Balakot, where the players are standing on the various levels. You know, there's one small strip, which is where the batsman and the bowler are, and all the fielders are above 100 feet above them or 100 feet below them in various positions, and they play cricket there. From gully cricket to the international level, there's a whole lot of polishing goes on through various matches. Most of the graduates of technology universities in Pakistan have already achieved a certain level. They're already at, to use the cricket metaphor, they're already at the Qaid-e-Azam Trophy level. Now, how can we not polish them? And we all know how badly we're doing in cricket because of various other things, but the talent is there. So if there was a mechanism to polish these almost there, educated, intelligent, ready to work, and you know, given the opportunity, given the incentive, most Pakistanis that I've worked with work very hard. You know, we were saying that gadhe ki tarah kaam karte hain. They work very hard if there's an opportunity there. But if you don't provide opportunity, there's no incentive. What's the incentive for them to work harder? Because you make the top guys make most money, and it doesn't get distributed. So I think, and that's what I'm working on right now, is that to take that raw material and polish them. And I'll tell you where the opportunity is. According to Korn Ferry, which is one of the most trusted projections, you know, in making projections, there's about 80 million IT worker deficit coming up in the next 10 years. That's 80 million people short. The world is going to be 80 million people short. The West is aging. They did not produce enough children. And the need for IT professionals is exponentially increasing. So now you've got a double whammy. You've got need increasing and the supply decreasing. So West will need a lot of people. The problem is that they need finished good, not raw material. So what I'm trying to do right now is work in both private and public sector to focus on human resource finishing. I don't claim to be developing human resource. Human resource has already been developed by Pakistan. Pakistan has the degree inflation. The 3 degrees leke log phir rahe, job nahi hai. And so if one could polish these almost there engineering talent or technology talent, there is opportunity out there. One of the things that's missing is business development in the West, which is where we come in. We're in Silicon Valley. We know where the holes are. We know where the market, where the need is. And if we can somehow guarantee supply through an American company, which can be held responsible in the courts of law in case something goes wrong, we think we can do a lot of business. And some people have already cut the tall grass. NetSol and TRG, Systems Industries. These guys have already cut the tall grass. They've already shown that you can use Pakistani talent to build Western world or give that manpower to Western organization, and they will excel. They become fairly large companies. So the model is there. I'm working on it, and hopefully in the next time when we meet, maybe hopefully in a year or so, I would have some progress, and I would have something to share with you. But the opportunity in HR human resource is humongous. There are countries who do not have population of 80 million that could provide. Pakistan has 220 million. So for us to provide 1, 2, 3, 4, even 8 million, 10% of their market share is really not that big of a problem. The problem is that and one of the things I tell people is, don't look at India, don't look at America, don't look at England. There's a huge market out there, and your competition really is not India. Our competition is really Philippines. Our competition is Vietnam. Our competition is Indonesia. Our competition is Malaysia. And there is tremendous amount, and they don't have the labor, or at least not as much labor as we do. Our nearest competition really would be Bangladesh. And so the HR, I call it the revolution. It is going to happen. The last thing that I'll touch upon, and then maybe we can do a Q&A, is that the education system that we currently have is 100-year-old methodology. 4 साल तक आप पढ़ेंगे तो फिर आप काबिल होंगे. That rule was made at times when information was only available on paper. You could only get yourself educated using books that were knowledge which was on paper. Well, things have changed. Google alayhi salam has made information very prevalent. You can Google any country that you want. You don't have to take a course in geography to know where Italy is. In a few clicks, you can know name of every city in Italy. With one question to Siri, you can get the capital of any country that you want. So the system, the 4-year degree or 6-year degree or 2-year degree or 3-year degree, in general services to make your mind think about certain things or solve problems, is a very old technology or a very old system that is ripe for disruption. In education, disruption is coming, whether we want it, whether we like it, it doesn't really matter. It's coming. I don't know if you've seen the Google's announcement. Companies in US are creating something called boot camps. So some of you are from the military, you understand what boot camp means. You basically build a fighting machine for the exact purpose for which that person would be used. So a sharpshooter doesn't have to do anything else but just be a sharpshooter forever, all your life. Don't have to go out and fight hand to hand, don't have to fly planes, you just have to be a sharpshooter. So the American, or at least the large conglomerates, are creating their own small universities, if you will. They are training people on the tools and technologies that are relevant to them. Gone are the days when IBM used to hire 2,000 people and put them in for 2 years in training and then put somebody in sales, somebody in marketing, somebody that. The product cycle has changed from years to quarters and quarters to months and months to weeks. I mean, right now, if you look at for those of you who are in computer sciences, cloud native applications could be updated every day. And you won't even know that the application has been updated, right? And so the opportunities in this area are so huge that you really, even if you do a mediocre job, because the demand is so much, there's so much vacuum that you'll get sucked in. So the education disruption is actually, unfortunately, in Pakistan, and again, I'll do a little bit of soapbox and then get off. People have presented that in different lights, and so हम 1 million entrepreneurs बना देंगे. 1 million में zero कितने होते हैं आपको पता है? और एक entrepreneur बनाने में कितना time लगता है? And so realistic goals are somehow missing, because when you talk about 1 million entrepreneurs, it makes news. But if you talk about 100 or 200 entrepreneurs, it doesn't make news. And so the need of the hour is to be realistic, know where we are, and create these small groups. And I'm very happy with what NED has done. There is a NIC, a National Incubation Center at NED right now. There's one at LUMS, there's one at NUST. I'm familiar with these because I was involved with them very early on when they were being formed. And the government has done a halfway decent job. They have a group called Ignite that funds these things. And this funding is in $5 million range. So that's actually pretty decent money to get new ideas surfaced. I think we're getting up to about 40 minutes time. So I'll stop at this point. And maybe one last thing that I'd like to maybe touch on is that the educational institutions, the change will be accelerated because of COVID and remote working and these technologies that are coming up that we are talking on right now, like Zoom. A person doesn't have to be close to physical or geographical proximity is gone. I think every one of us is in a different city somewhere around the globe, and yet we're communicating. So that will create even more opportunities for educating people very quickly in an organized manner. And that remote workforce is going to one day bypass on-site workforce. So if you'd allow me, I'd stop at this point and take questions if there are any.
Uh, Mr. Idris, this is Shahid Hamid. I can claim that I am older than you, a year older at least. I've got some good Bori friends like Nuruddin and Hakimuddin, if you know. They've done wonderfully well in the defense sector. Well, I've been there, and I think you pointed out, few things which I think we need to do as of yesterday. And that is the reason we, as a matter of fact, the group that you're addressing right now is a very large group, mashallah. We have about, over 250 aeronautical engineers in this group who, I think somebody's mic is off. Hello. On. So, what I'd like, we have to put them in the practical shape. The things that you said just now, the development of human resources, a lot of efforts sporadically going on. However, we need to, at the government level, in the private sector, we need to do a lot, in my personal opinion. And people like you, with your kind of experience, I tell you, they are the crying need of the hour, I must say. And for that, I would request that whenever you're here next time, or in between also, you must interact with our group, because within the group, we have made some task forces, like you mentioned, boot camps, specialized for the specialization purposes, people who are specialized, because, the kind of people that we have, alhamdulillah, they are specialists in, both उसमें diversity है उन लोगों में. So inshallah, when it comes to it, I think it was a very, very informative lecture that you gave, and we hope to meet soon. Meanwhile, please keep in touch with our society. We call it College of Aeronautical Engineering Professionals Society. So we would like to have some kind of a connection with you. Maybe we make you tomorrow our honorary member if you agree to it.
Oh,
And
please. It'll be an honor. And I see Dr. Rashad Ali there. Dr. Rashad and I go back a long ways. Maybe he can tell you the story of our first meeting.
Yeah, I'm sure there's another entrepreneur there. He's done very well in his profession. So all of us would like to make use of the knowledge that you have and the kind of potential we have here. You are privy to that. So we would like to join hands now. We the likes of you and the likes of many in this group who, mashallah, have done wonderfully well in life. So I think together, let's make a better Pakistan. As simple. We can do it. I can assure you. So thank you very much for a very, very informative and a great lecture that you gave.
Appreciate
Talk, I would say. And Allah aapko khush rakhe. So I'll leave it for the rest to talk to you.
Thank you.
Idris
Now, Dr. Rashad, how are things?
Idris Saab, this is Manzar. During your deliberation, you talked about the transformation in the education system.
Yeah.
Do you, in this present era, where do you think this distance and all these things doesn't matter? Do you still feel that the metric and the MS and all this thing is to be done in a prescribed time frame, or it could be evaluated in other manner to check the wisdom or the knowledge of an individual?
Yes, I truly believe that K-12 and the 4-year degrees or 6-year, 2 years masters and all that, everything is up for grabs. It is going to hit everyone, whether you like it or not. Every now and then we hear the story that a 12-year-old can get a master's degree and all that. That's just a kid that made the news. There are, for every one of them that makes the news, there are thousands others who could have done their bachelor's degree at the age of 12 or 14 or whatever. So somehow we need to have a mechanism where we recognize the talent of even before they get to metric, maybe 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, and then let them grow into the area in which they want to excel. Not this घिसाब पिटा किताबों पे लिखा हुआ 10 साल का कि आप ये भी पढ़ेंगे, वो भी पढ़ेंगे, ये भी पढ़ेंगे. Most of that information which is in the book is pretty arcane, and some of that is actually wrong. But because people who are sitting approving the books, and I don't go into that, I don't want to offend anybody, but people who are approving the type of books in Pakistan have a bug up their tail, and they don't want to change. But that doesn't mean information is not going to get out. Everyone with a phone, and everyone with a cell phone, everyone with the access to Google will get information. They know where the capital of Italy is. I don't need to go in a class and sit there for 2 hours and keep ratifying something that I'm going to do. I have a calculator now. I have spreadsheets now. I have PowerPoint now. I have Word. I could go out and at a very early age as a child. So why am I not given the opportunity to go to college at the age of 8? This will change. This has to change. And it's changing. If you look at what's happening in Scandinavia and other countries, and Dr. Rashad knows that all too well, we need to catch that. And this is where I think Leapfrog helps us. We don't need to follow the West.
Do you have such some system as a pilot project in Pakistan?
I'm not aware of that. And unfortunately, I'm really not a Pakistani. I'm actually a Karachiite, a Lahorite, and a Islamabad. So I just know 3 cities. I go to these 3 cities, I come back, and I claim to be Pakistani. I'm sure a lot of things are going on. A lot of people are doing a lot of good work. I'm not aware of one where the experimentation is going on.
So can I say a few things, IdrisKothari sir?
Please, go ahead.
My name is Firoz Heather. And I come from a business background. My father ran a business. And then from 1987, I formed a company in Karachi. And we were doing industrial automation. I had a lot of trainings from Germany in industrial automation. And I was an expert in pre-press. So there was a lot of computerized systems. So I got trained in computerized systems very early in life. So we started doing industrial automation. We had some principals in Germany who trusted us with their technology. We brought it in Pakistan. फिर आहिस्ता हमने पूरे पाकिस्तान के feed mills को automate किया. We even had orders from Chinese operating in Pakistan. और फिर उसके अलावा हमने precision engineering complex से अपने motherboards बनवाए and we created temperature controllers, humidity controllers, and we installed them in a lot of the poultry feed mills, poultry plants, actually poultry farms.
And the
poultry
question
farms
is,
temperature control karke. But the thing is, and I'll tell you something, that if I did not help from some of my friends in the Air Force, I would be dead now. How do you control lawlessness? Because people, मेरे ऑफिस में लोग आते थे कि तुम आइंदा जर्मनी से कुछ नहीं मंगवाओगे, ये सब अफगान ट्रेड से आएगा, और फिर हम देखता है तुमको कैसे आता है. Then I had import like the commissioner of customs called me in his office कि बाकी लोग $50 में लोचर मंगवाते हैं, आप $100,000 में मंगवाते हैं, तो हमारा आप भी $50 में मंगवाए और 30% आप हमारा होगा, 70% आपको. This is the statement by commissioner of income tax. Sorry, of collectors. But my vendors in Germany would not listen to this stuff. Like they said, hey, this is the invoice. We're not going to give you a false invoice. So फिर उसके बाद I can tell you stories जो यहाँ पे मैं ग्रुप में नहीं बता सकता. I had calls from Prime Minister's office.
There's a subject I know nothing about. So any opinion or any question, any answer I give you would be totally void of information. So I really don't know how to solve that. That's I believe that in high tech, because of the transportation of results is online, and no one can stop you from sending a file over the wire these days. That's the only area I know of, and I think in that area, security is not that big of a problem, at least from the people that I know. But again, personal security, physical security, I'm a neophyte. I should be asking you gentlemen to tell me what to do. I have no answer for that.
So this is the problem with operating high tech business in Pakistan. Okay, you know, there are forces that are trying to inhibit that sort of development in Pakistan.
Okay.
Uske baad, let me tell you another thing that, you know, I operate a company in Canada. We do a lot of not industrial automation, but training for IT security. Actually, I'm one of the few accredited trainers globally for ICs and for ISAC, and we do a lot of IT security consulting as well. We do consulting for Government of Canada, for like a lot of large organization in USA. Or I try to bring this trainings to Pakistan through my friends or whatever. लेकिन ये training को avail करने के लिए पाकिस्तान में कोई भी नहीं है. Like I even offered some courses free of cost, but people are not willing to take that because they don't see the potential. And I say, you know what? आप पाकिस्तान में इनको training करें, and then we'll try to consume you in North America. But there's still not people there who would take up that offer, because they you know, somehow the other, the entire infrastructure has changed. People are more towards, you know, quick money building in Pakistan. They have no concept of getting these trainings and then looking for opportunities in the West. Just India ne kiya कि जी 80,000 Indians come every year using the H1 visa. And I really, you know, sometimes I'm in a meeting or I'm in a seminar speaking, and all of a sudden somebody from India will jump up and say, oh, yeah, Islamic terrorists can use that. And Islamic, well, you know, they try to downplay you all the time. And I try to talk about this with all of my friends. कि यार ये Indians ने पाकिस्तान को या Indian agents ने पाकिस्तान के अंदर घुस के जो हाल किया हुआ है, we need to conquer that somehow before, like, you know, we need to train all of these Pakistanis and start bringing them into North America. जैसे आपने भी बोला कि there will be a shortage of 8 million people. We understand that. And then you and me, we understand that. But how to bring that sort of awareness in that country, and how to bring people into North America so that, you know, we have, you know, we have some really excellent people in Pakistan. I totally get that. We have some of the best brains in Pakistan. Like some of the best brains. आपको यकीन नहीं आएगा कि आप जिस group में भी बात कर रहे हैं, CAP में, I have never seen a group of more intelligent people in my life. And I've been around the world. I've been to Germany. I've been to Canada. You will not find a group of more intelligent people than this group over here. But how to get this group mobilized into creating sort of awareness where, you know, they can start building up for, you know, fulfilling the needs of the world, not just Pakistan. And at the same time,
if I may.
Feroz, before Idris, I'd like to, Feroz, we are here. Believe you me, we will change things. You know it. Why have we gathered? So let's be optimistic about it. And I think, I mean, Mr. Idris has some wonderful views about how to go about it. And also, likes of you, Feroz, you know, you're a very intelligent person. We are going to change. Unless we try, we cannot do anything. We have, you know, then we become escapists. That is not the answer.
Nice,
No,
that is not the answer. That is true.
We must push the things through, and we will do it. And let's have the will to do it. And I can assure you, nobody can stop us except Allah. And Allah is with us. Inshallah.
Okay. Maybe I can answer one point that you mentioned. I am really not in favor of taking brightest Pakistanis out of Pakistan. I do not wish to continue the brain drain that I'm part of. I think my generation had to, because there was no job or anything else. Right now, the way technology is, I could be sitting in Karachi working for a foreign country, foreign firms, and bringing foreign exchange to Pakistan. The fact is that when a blue-collar worker goes out of Pakistan, he goes to Dubai or Saudi Arabia or wherever to work. and sends 80 or more % of their income back to Pakistan, that's where we make our billions in foreign exchange from these poor workers who go outside. On the other hand, white collar workers like me go out of Pakistan, don't send a dhela to Pakistan, but also take their brothers and sisters and mamus and chachas and everybody out of Pakistan who are part of the intelligence part of Pakistan out of Pakistan and don't send a penny in. So the key is not to take the white collar person out of Pakistan. The key to me is bring the white collar job into Pakistan. So the person can stay in Nowshera, they can stay in Sialkot, they can stay in Peshawar and earn as much as they would otherwise have, or at least half of what they would have in America, and then bring the foreign exchange to Pakistan. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to create a business development organization in US. One of the things that Pakistanis take very lightly, and this is the biggest problem, is they don't consider business development as any, they don't give that enough value. वो मेरे चाचा का बेटा Houston में वो कर लेगा. Chacha ka beta in Houston has got a full-time job. He has no idea. He has a thick accent. He cannot sell worth anything. So unless we focus on demand side business mindset, कि demand कहाँ पर है, ये education system हमारा जो है, it says इसको पढ़ा दो ये कुछ कर लेगा. Obviously that hasn't worked. We are 149th in the, or 143rd or something in the Human Development Index. ये पढ़ा दो कुछ कर लेगा is not working. There's an inflation of degrees. Degree लेके बंदे फिर रहे हैं, job नहीं है, Uber चला रहे हैं. The key is to create a demand side mindset which says पहले demand पैदा करो, उसके बाद उसको fit करो. Job कहाँ मिलेगी इसको? यूनिवर्सिटियां बनाते चले जाओ, graduate पैदा करते चले जाओ, job तो है नहीं उनके पास. So my focus is on demand creation because supply तो बहुत है. Supply की कोई जरूरत नहीं है. Demand बहुत है, demand create करने की जरूरत है. And I'll shut up.
No, great. Absolutely. Very well said.
Idris साहब, I have a question. आपने उस दिन मुझसे ओपन एसवी का फोरम शेयर किया था. Thank you very much. And it was really a surprise to know that so many Pakistanis are working very well abroad in Silicon Valley especially. क्योंकि मुझे याद है जब 14 साल पहले मैं यहाँ पर आया था तो मुझे अपने बैंक की कॉन्टैक्ट लिस्ट में हार्डली देयर वाज एनी पाकिस्तानी और मुस्लिम नेम अपीयर्स. अब माशाल्लाह जब मैं देखता हूँ तो उसमें तकरीबन 20% पाकिस्तानी या मुस्लिम नेम्स कम से कम मुझे नजर आते हैं. बट दैट इज असाइड. Question is, can you become a conduit, a contact person? Because on our forum, as CAP forum, we are doing so many different projects. Brainstorming भी होती रहती है और नए projects भी आते रहते हैं, and we continue growing those projects. Question आपसे ये कि क्या आप एक conduit या contact person बन सकते हैं projects या different और projects में कि हम किस तरह अपने पाकिस्तानियों को जो वहाँ पर रह रहे हैं उनके साथ कुछ collaboration करके पाकिस्तान के लिए कुछ चीजें यहाँ पर हम कर सकें.
Well, there is an example right there. Maybe Dr. Rashid Ali can tell you how you can work with us. Dr. Saab, I'll let you answer that.
Assalamu alaikum. First of all, thank you very much. Actually, I got your information about this seminar just today. Actually, working with the people abroad is very easy. At the same time, is you have to be very truthful, forceful, and committed in order to because वहाँ पे जो लोग रहते हैं उनके पास ये टाइम नहीं होता अच्छा कर देंगे देख लेंगे. You have to show a little one step extra in building their trust and confidence that we can deliver. And my experience working with Idris and people in Silicon Valley as well as in Europe has shown that there is a lot of appetite over there. But the thing which is lacking is the trust on our part of the side, because हमारे यहाँ पे होता ये है कि हम project ले लेते हैं उसके बाद या तो हम अपडेट नहीं करते हैं या हम ये समझते हैं जब कर लेंगे तब करेंगे, whereas the other person is worried कि यार कुछ हो भी रहा है कि नहीं. So we have to make sure that we, number one, keep the channels open. Second is that we shall be wholeheartedly committed to collaborate and work together. ये नहीं हो सकता कि यहाँ से half-hearted effort, and because people over there also do not have time, just like we do not have time. So it has to be a committed effort, and it is important that we create a win-win situation where the people sitting on the other side, they just can't do it for the sake of philanthropy. They have to see something tangible which is making impact. So I think a lot of appetite is there. We need to build our level of commitment, honesty, as well as the building that trust कि भाई जो हमने वादा किया है वो हम पूरा करेंगे. It took me, I think, more than 1.5 years just to talk to Idris. पहले तो ये बात ही नहीं करते थे हमारे साथ. So because they had met many people who would just meet them, जिस तरह आज हमारी बातें हो रही हैं कि भाई हम मिलके काम करेंगे, उसके बाद कभी किसी ने ना कोई email की ना कोई वो किया. So one need to make sure that if we talk something, the other person feels an extra step or an extra level of interest in pursuing that. So that is what my personal experience.
100%. I fully agree.
I'll add to that once Dr. Saab's first group delivered, the first project we gave Dr. Saab was mine. I gave the first project to Dr. Saab, and the people who were there did wonderful. As a matter of fact, the person who worked on that, he was a professor at NUST at the time. I'm still working with him. He's in Canada. So once we find superstars, we are in this, we want superstars just as much as anybody else. How do we find them? That's the key. And once I was successful with that, I introduced the company that they were working through to every single Pakistani entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley that I knew, and they all, bar none, they all went to NUST. And Dr. Saab, kitna business kiya tha NUST ke liye humne us 2-3 सालों में?
It was in millions. And there is an example कि एक बंदा है वो अशोक मिलानी, उसे he found so much of talent over here कि वो अमेरिका से पाकिस्तान move कर गया. So he spends half of his time in Pakistan. So उसने यहाँ पे startup की है.
Good, very good.
Any other questions?
Yes, Mr. Idris, my name is Kaswar. I'm based in Toronto. My question is that in the developing 2-3 blocks kind of a world, did you foresee, or do you foresee any kind of issue from United States side? That you are based in United States and you're dealing with people from Pakistan. So in future, how do you see the prospects of your dealing with Pakistan from US law and establishment point of view?
I think, we're going through a bad period in our history. So 4 years and maybe 4 more years. But, nations are built over hundreds and thousands of years. I mean, at least hundreds of years. This will pass too. In terms of doing business with Pakistan, US comprises of 1,000 institutions, if not more. Any one institution going bad make news. So right now the executive is kind of out of whack, but that doesn't mean anything. There are 1,000 lawsuits against the federal government by the states and individuals and organizations that would not let any bad things go beyond a certain point. I mean, this is just an era, just a period we need to get through. But the opportunity for talented people to working towards new technologies is going to be there for the next, at least foreseeable future, for the rest of my life, whatever life is left, and beyond. And the labor will come from these countries: China, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Malaysia, Indonesia, who have hundreds of millions of people. Countries with 10 or 20 million people will not be able to provide these services. So now you have to take into account as to where your position is in. So India को छोड़ दें, China को छोड़ दें. उसके बाद जो number आता है किसी का, तो वो, we have the 3rd largest English speaking population in the world. We also have very light accented people. So हमारा accent जो है वो इतना heavy नहीं है. And then we have a mathematical gene. So वो जो रेडी वाला भी होता है, उसको जबान आती हो ना आती हो, उसको हिसाब जरूर आता है. वो आपको 50 रुपए आपसे लेगा और बराबर हिसाब करके आपको पैसे वापस देगा. So we would succeed if we simply try and these are small barriers. US ये H1B visa ना होना might even be a better for us because सारे Indians को आना बंद कर दिया यहाँ पे. तो अब आपकी वो जो थी प्लेइंग फील्ड थोड़ी और लेवल होगी. बल्कि कोविड तो आपके लिए बहुत आपके लिए कुछ आपको फायदा ही हो जाएगा से कुछ ना कुछ. You have done a very good job, and so I think the opportunities will only increase, not decrease for Pakistan. Adnan Saab, if you're leaving, I wanted to say hello. Maybe Adnan Saab can say a few words before he leaves.
I just want to thank you for all these discussions. I think these are very important things, and I feel lucky to be part of some efforts that Dr. Arshad has mentioned, and I would be lucky to be part of any effort that takes place towards these directions.
Well, we're looking for you already. You know that.
Thank you very much.
One comment, if I can make, is that these developed nations are very clever. So there might be certain times one odd policy may change, but their overall interest in getting benefited from the talent of the developed world will never change, because that's what their future lies. Just if you see UK, they have come up with very friendly policies as far as attracting the talent is concerned, and same goes for US. The policymakers will never let the opportunity to benefit from the developing world talent, because they get the ready-made cooked people who can make a difference. So instead of spending their own 14, 15 or 16 years on their kids, they get free of cost from the developing world. So how can they lose that opportunity? So it is we who have to prepare ourselves so that we benefit from the kind of opportunities which exist under such scenario. Small little changes will always be there, but we don't need to be scared of that. We need to be actually active in understanding those and then trying to find where are the how can we benefit from the opportunities.
Sir, one of the areas
मेरे ख्याल में
सर एक छोटी सी बात के पाकिस्तान में प्राइवेसी लॉ नहीं है, और आजकल सारी दुनिया में प्राइवेसी की वजह से पाकिस्तान में आप बहुत सारा काम एक्सपोर्ट नहीं कर सकते हैं यहाँ से, क्योंकि वहाँ पे प्राइवेसी लॉ नहीं है. तो लोग और इंटेलेक्चुअल प्रॉपर्टी राइट्स भी नहीं है पाकिस्तान में इतने ज़्यादा. तो यहाँ नॉर्थ अमेरिकन ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस tend to ignore Pakistan as a place to outsource because of those two reasons. So we have to get somebody in the government involved to create the privacy law, first of all, which is equivalent to either GDPR or जो USA का CCPA है, and also to create an intellectual property law that people from North America are confident that they can send their things to Pakistan without that getting pirated.
I agree with you, but keep in mind that the society as advanced as United States claims to be, GDPR just went into effect in the 2020. So give me a break. They've been working without GDPR for years. So let's not use that as an excuse.
Yes, but still people, it's perception, it's all perception. Sirji, Indians have created the perception that they are better.
No, wait. There are 99 ways when something cannot be done. That leaves one for me, and I'll find that way. So entrepreneur by definition are the one who pass the maze. Aapko maze pata na, bhul bhulaiyan jo hoti hai. We need to go through that maze. Yes, there'll be a lot of blockages, but we got to figure out a way. I'll tell you one very simple thing. There's a company called Capgemini. उनकी सिर्फ एक very thin layer है ऊपर जो French है, अंदर सारे Indian भरे हुए. What I'm telling you is that I will represent your companies in the United States. So all the business will come through VSI, who they can sue if I do something wrong. But my labor can come from any one of you in Pakistan, and they couldn't care less. That's how American companies are working right now. When you could pick up the phone and call Dell, for a certain server, that call goes to actually Islamabad. They goes to Ashok Malani's team in Islamabad, who picks up the phone and answers, hello, this is David. He's not David, he's Dawood. And so there are ways to get around all these things. Just have to, so for this group, if you really all want to get together and do something, contribute together and make a consortium and have a presence in the US. I'll be more than willing to help you. I'll hire a couple of people on your behalf and put them in our offices here to represent your companies over here. Consider business development as a necessity, not as a sideshow. Business development is the #1 ingredient missing from companies who are doing so well in Pakistan and not outside.
Well said. Mr. Idris, I think we are going to do that. As a matter of fact, my personal opinion is, every time, we say that what do we get out of America, UK, etc. Let there be a time when somebody says, let's ask Pakistan what all they have. So we are going to create environments here in Pakistan. They'll be needing it, inshallah. And probably the group that we made here, this society that we have, there are people, as somebody mentioned earlier, they are very intelligent, very enterprising people. And with friends like you, together, we can do something good. Arshad may say that, we don't commit, but here in this group, when we commit, it is a commitment, absolutely, in the literal sense. I can assure you, because whatever that you're saying is being recorded. And I'm sure some of my people in the society would get in touch with you and,
Indeed.
make sure that we come to a kind of an arrangement or something whereby, which could be of mutual benefit. So be assured on that. I know people don't, you very rightly pointed out, it's a problem of trust deficit. Yes, there is, but we're going to remove that slowly, gradually. If educated people like us can't do it, then it never happened, right? So inshallah, we'll do it.
Maybe I can tell you one thing, that currently I'm telling the government of Pakistan कि 1 billion आपका export है और 7 billion आप import करते हैं in technologies like Oracle and all these things. So जब आप increase करते हैं export, so you are a seller. Seller always has lesser position in a trade. Buyer always has the upper hand. In $7 billion import, you have the upper hand. You are the buyer. So how about helping on both sides, asking us to increase the export? How about you decreasing the import?
Yeah.
By using the Pakistani products. So what I'm doing right now is I'm asking every Pakistani company that I know of, and I've got 2 of them. One of them might be in your group. His name is Ayal Abbas. He's in Karachi. He's a very good friend of Hasnain Akhtar, who introduced us to him. In Softcom, they build a product which is in HR, which takes care of HR for a lot of companies in Pakistan. We're telling, we're asking them to give us package that information, and we're taking it to Pakistani companies like Packages Limited, where I have some friends, that are internally group kare, and we will provide the trust. So I am actually selling a Pakistani product to a Pakistani buyer as being an agent sitting in America.
Yes.
So there are models. If you know, there are a bunch of people sitting in Dubai who are doing trade between India and Pakistan, right? All of this is possible. You just have to get around the issue. Let's not worry about what the problem is. Let's worry about how we solve it. So
exactly,
if there is a good product in Pakistan that one of your companies makes, please work with us. We will provide you the umbrella, and we're not going to do it for free. We will make money at it because we will be responsible for delivery, and we will then connect you with your own counterparts who do not trust you directly, but they will trust you indirectly. And eventually, I mean, look at Dr. Arshad and I'd be very honest, when Dr. Arshad first came to meet us at Stanford, my attitude was, here comes another Pakistani looking for help from. So when I told him this story, looking at the American football, quarterback is only as good as the receiver is. If I throw the ball and there's nobody to catch it, or the guy drops it, I don't get any benefit out of it. There's a lot of quarterbacks in Silicon Valley who are willing to help you. Are there any receivers in Pakistan? And you cannot be an individual, we cannot be, right? There are 60 of us in Silicon Valley, and there are 6,000 of you that are looking for help. So there has to be a mechanism, a central mechanism, for example, like this group was organized by one person. All 16 or 15 of you did not write to me. One person wrote it, organized everybody on your side, and here we are having a meaningful discussion. If we can somehow get organized, ये 1.5 दिन की मस्जिदें बनाना है ना, छोड़ दें प्लीज, खुदा के वास्ते ये 1.5 दिन की मस्जिदें बनाना छोड़ दें. Get together, get a consortium together. Even the consortium that came under Ignite, with all the regulations, all the government BS, they've done very well. Look at the NICs that are in the area, the Lahore NIC, Islamabad NIC, Karachi NIC, Quetta NIC, Peshawar NIC. Their National Incubation Center is what we call NIC. They're doing very good job of bringing the first generation of startups. They won't be as good. Honda, when it first came out, I bought the first Honda Accord, first 2 or 3 model. It was a piece of junk. And everybody in Pakistan said, "Kya leke aaye ho? Kya America se aaye ho? Kya kis bewakoof ne tumhe kaha tha ki ye lekar aao?" But today, Honda is where it is. So it will take time. The first product is really, and I give this example in my talks, that these are babies. What do babies do? They cry, they shit, they piss, in wherever they are, right? But eventually, they grow up to be wonderful young men or women, and they go out and change the world. So that's where you have to start. So ये जो startups हैं पाकिस्तान में, आप अपने शहर में देखें. अगर आप पाकिस्तान में हैं, अगर आप कराची में हैं, तो NED जाएं. वहाँ एक बंदा है शाहजहां, उससे मिलें. वो बताएगा आपको कितनी कंपनियां चल रही हैं. If you're in Islamabad, Dr. Arshad is there. He can tell you where the NIC is. लाहौर में आप तो वहाँ जाएं. लम्स जाएं आप. लम्स में फैसल शेरजान है, वो आपको बताएंगे कि कौन सी कंपनियां आ रही हैं. Get involved in this group somehow, and then through an organized manner, connect with Pakistanis here. We have about 50 or 60 of us. All of us are dying to give. कोई लेने वाला, organized लेने वाला तो बने. And that's how Dr. Arshad and I have kept relationship. How old is our relationship? Doctor, 15 साल हो गए?
Almost 15 years.
And we've done business on and off, and then we stay in touch. And of course, some things will, and of all the projects I gave to Dr. Shah, not all of them were success, but so what? You have to try.
Idris Saab, I assure you, this group is not only 16 people that there are on this forum पे जो आए हुए हैं. There are about 250-300 लोग हैं, 400 लोग हैं.
Wow.
All over the world, Pakistan में हर जगह पे, छोटी-छोटी जगहों पे भी हैं. And they have the will to do up. Now we're going to move in a very organized fashion. That's the reason you are here. We are listening to you. Otherwise, तो फिर हम अपना काम कर रहे होते. But हम लोगों को पहले identify करना है चीजों को. You see, we are both of us from an era जहाँ पे चीजें जरा different थी. हमने slide rule पे engineering की हुई है.
Faber-Castell.
If you go back,
I know what Faber-Castell is.
So, nevertheless, but we have progressed, evolved. So, likewise, as you said, now with this, our effort is to evolve and make sure कि जितने लोग हमारे बाहर हैं, डायस्पोरा जो हमारा है, जो हमारे यहाँ पे हैं, और अगले दिन हमारा एक लेक्चर हुआ था ब्लू ओशन उसके ऊपर स्ट्रैटेजी के पर. So, I think ये इसको भी हम we are considering it. So, let me assure you that you will be hearing from our people. And you will, as I offered you, probably you will be one of our honorary members or something of the group. Because मैंने अताउर रहमान को भी कहा है, Dr. AQ को भी कहा है, बाकियों को भी कहा है, and they said we love to be part of this group of yours. When I told them the background of the people, so inshallah, enterprising people like you. So let me give you a kind of a commitment that inshallah, if we live, अपने बारे में कैसा हो पता नहीं है. I'm a cancer patient basically, but we will try and do whatever possible that there is to do for the betterment of Pakistan, right, sir?
Thank you, sir.
And we mean it.
Really
from our
appreciate your time. I'd love to stay in touch with all of you.
Sure.
And anything I can do, please. Dr. Arshad is my. I mean, we spoke twice this week, so I know I'm very close touch with him. Adnan Iqbal, I'm trying to convince him to work with us. I'm sure there is other people in your group that I know and would love to work with. And if you want to do something in the US, please call upon us. We're dying to help.
Sure.
Idris, day before yesterday, I happened to learn the Rahil Bodla, if you know him.
I know Rahil very well.
Yeah, in the BNI session. But what I see, they have a very sessions with the people who all are concerned with the interrelated businesses.
Ji.
Such forum, what I think is the missing in Pakistan. I didn't see that BNI chapter in Pakistan.
Okay. Well, go ahead and get them started. You see the models. I need to run, so I do appreciate all your time. It was a good discussion for me. I love to hear, and please write to me. One thing I do, I have an open policy. If you send me a note and give me a little bit of notice, I'd love to get onto the phone and talk to you. I never met a phone call I didn't like. So anytime, I'm more than happy. Dr. Arshad is an example. If I can help in any way, shape, or form with a little bit of my experience, more than happy to share it.
Thank you very much.
Idris Saab.
Thank you, sir.
Aman.
Everybody.
Aman.
Okay, Aman. Thank you very much, Idris Saab. Thanks for your time. Really appreciate.
Thank you.
Very good, fruitful discussion. Thanks a lot. Allah Hafiz.